Thank you for joining us for this week's edition of CropTech Consults.
This is Thomas Zarebny, and welcome to this edition of the CTC Weather Roundup, covering what happened during the 2015 year. Overall, the weather for 2015 turned out to be a year with many periods of wet weather, with warm nights across the Midwest. Daily temperatures hovered at or just above normal for most of the year, but we'll get into that a little more of what happened. These are just a few highlights that occurred and we'll be covering through this edition. April cold snap caused planting and emergence problems. Part of the summer was slightly colder than average and warmer than 2014. June rains break rainfall records. July rains compound June wet spots. And mid-short-term drought peaked in late October. And last but not least, we'll be covering the fall and the winter soil temperatures that put nitrogen loss at risk. During the spring, moisture conditions for the most part were ideal to start off with and stayed that way up to the end of May. The temperatures overall were at or just above average. However, a cold snap in the middle of April caused a few problems for planting. Cold weather conditions between April 19th and May 1st caused widespread emergence problems if you planted in this window. Same thing was seen in Peoria and other areas across the region. You can also see this in northern Ford County. As we headed into the summer, the weather started to turn on us with record-setting rainfalls occurring in June. June broke the record in 3 states throughout the U.S. We saw it in Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio for being the wettest June since 1895. The hardest hit areas were located in Kankakee, Iroquois County, and south of Peoria. Mainly in these areas highlighted in purple here, you can see here roughly 15 to 18 inches of rain were located in these areas. July rainfall continued to cause problems for areas already wet from June rainfall. However, these areas had increased rainfall also noticed a reduce in rootworm pressure. It's thought that the saturated conditions that were present made it harder for them to survive. And going into the 2016 season, these areas may continue to see reduced pressure than compared to what they've seen in the past. While our rainfall was setting records in June, we were experiencing a combination of cooler days during our summer. And at the same time, we were also having an increase in warmer nights. But some areas did see an average temperature of minimum temperatures during the evenings. We can see this in 2015 for around Champaign. Our days during the summer were warmer than what we expected in 2014. And you can see the same thing in northern Ford County. And these low temperatures helped create conditions for white mold. Same thing again in Champaign. As noted earlier, we had plenty of water to meet the demand of the plant throughout the growing season, but too much rain was a limiting factor. Here in Champaign, we can see in April we were pretty close to meeting the demand. May, we turned down the rainfall, and definitely in June here. While the end of the period of the summer, we started to turn a little drier. We can see the same transition within Peoria and same trend. Peoria was a little drier at the beginning of the season, got hit really hard in June, and then in July, again got compounded, but then in August, turned out dry again. The same similar trend is seen in northern Ford County, while as you get further north to DeKalb, they received less rain and became a little drier towards July and August again. If we compare these rates to past years, we see that 2015 closely resembled 2014 rates. But the difference between the two is that 2015 finished a little stronger than 2014, and this may have contributed to the high soybean yields compared to other years. You can see the overall trend also in Peoria. Saw a similar trend to Champaign, but in 2014 was a little bit of a drier year out in Peoria than what was in 2015. They ultimately turned out, like Champaign, same rates as you ended up out here. And as you go throughout other parts of the state, you see the similar trend as with 2015 ending a little stronger than what we've had in the past. Same thing in DeKalb. The only thing is they had a little less water to work with compared to the other areas in the state. As we moved into the fall and into the harvest season, daytime temperatures trended warmer than normal, with some periods feeling more like summer than fall. Nighttime temperatures again continued a trend of being warmer than usual. The combination of these warmer and drier conditions were a good setup for a quick harvest and made it suitable for field work to be done. However, this did lead to brief periods of abnormally dry conditions. The following months quickly made up for the lack of rain, with another round of record-breaking rainfall, quickly relieving any area experiencing drought and conditions. Most of the rainfall fell during the last 2 weeks of December, and this impacts the impact from this increased rainfall means that any carryover nitrate that we had will be lost or gone. The main areas down here is down in Decatur, throughout going down to St. Louis, throughout this area and out and through Missouri. Those were the main areas that got hit the hardest. On top of the rain that was received over that short period of time, daily temperatures have continued to stay warmer than normal. This graph shows soil temperatures at a depth of 4 inches, and these temperatures have an impact on any fall anhydrous applications. When soil temperatures are around 50 degrees or above, any anhydrous applied may be converted into nitrate and run the risk of being lost, especially with the combination of warm soils and increased rainfall. You can see in here we've had several periods within November and in December here that we've had it peak up above 50 and reach even up to 55 in some areas in December. And especially if you can compare that to 2014, which is in green here, we had one day that peaked out above 50, but most of the time it stayed below and pretty much near or just above freezing for most of the period in 2014. Same thing can be seen in Peoria. We've had multiple days of soil temperatures above 50 throughout December and parts of November, but as compared to 2014, those numbers have stayed below that threshold point. So in summary, the recent warm weather conditions have led to a loss of nitrate. Early applied anhydrous without N-Serve is at risk. Wet spring could lead to problems with all fall applied nitrogen, and root room pressure is expected to be low compared to past in heavy June precip areas. This concludes the CTC Weather Roundup of 2015. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Remember to tune back in next week for the next edition of Crop Tech Consults.